Yeah, good day and welcome to this lecture on traffic management and control. So we're going to be looking at the topic traffic control devices. These are some of the devices we're very much conversant with in our daily lives. Whether we own a car or we don't, but in our daily transportation, we see some of those signs, we come across them, some of those devices. But in this lecture, we're going to be looking into some of them individually and give a brief explanation on them. So before we go into what is traffic control devices, we say these are signs, signals, and markings that guides, warns, and regulate traffic. The idea and the reason behind having traffic control devices is to be able to regulate the traffic, is to be able to guide whether vehicles, guide drivers, pedestrians, to be able to warn also. It's very important. They are used to keep pedestrians and vehicles safe and moving efficiently. Like I said, these are their markers, their signs, their signals that are used to inform, to guide and control traffic. And these devices are usually placed adjacent to, over or along the highway, the roads, traffic facilities, and other public areas that requires traffic control. The reason why we use the word requires traffic control, we will still look into that in the later part of this lecture, where we'll be looking at the warrants, what it takes to put in a traffic sign at a particular place in a road or at the point of intersection. So we'll be looking at that later in the lecture. So the driver of a vehicle will obey the instructions of these traffic control devices unless there is a directive of a police officer close by. But if there is the absence of a police officer, then drivers are expected to obey the traffic control devices on the road. So we have types of traffic control devices. There are numerous types of traffic control devices, and we are going to be taking a look at some of it now. The first one we have here is called the regulatory devices. So we have some signs or we have some devices that performs the function of regulation. They're more like regulation. So these regulatory signs, they indicate the rules and laws that road users must obey. So those signs or those devices are meant to indicate rules and laws that road users must obey. And non-compliance with these rules may result in penalties, maybe in form of fines or accidents. And from what we have in this slide, you can see examples of some of these regulatory signs or devices. We have the stop sign, which requires drivers to come to a complete stop before proceeding, usually at the point of intersection. We also have what we call the speed limit signs. The speed limit signs, this indicate the maximum or the minimum speed allowed on a particular road. We can see this most especially on the highways, even in some smaller roads. There is always a speed sign that shows the speed limit that is required on those roads. We have what we call the yield sign. These signs indicate that drivers must yield the right of way to other vehicles or pedestrians at a particular time on the road. And we also have what we call the one-way signs. It indicates that traffic is permitted only in one direction on that road. We also have other signs like the no entry signs. We have the no parking or stopping signs. Some of those signs, they are regulatory in nature, or we call them the regulatory devices or regulatory signs, in which anyone who doesn't comply to them might be fined, or maybe this might also result in an accident. The second part of this is what we call the warning signs. From the word itself, it's a warning. Warning signs or warning devices, they alert road users to potential hazard or changes in road conditions. And this will help them to anticipate and react appropriately. This has come in form of signs. It can also come in form of signals. We're still going to be looking into the difference between the signs and signals. And the idea behind this is just a warning, alerting drivers, alerting road users about a potential hazard or a potential change in the road condition, in order for them to anticipate appropriately. And some of the common warning signs we have, we say we have the curve ahead sign. You see the sign on the road showing that there is a curve ahead. We have the pedestrian crossing sign. We have the flashing lights in school zones. We have the sharp turn signs. We have construction zone signs. We have the slippery when wet signs. These are signs that shows a sign of warning for road users or pedestrians at a point in time. So we have the deer crossing signs. These are just some of the warning signs on the warning device. After that, we have what we call the guide signs, or what we call the guide devices. The guide signs provide directional, locational, or information assistance, helping road users to navigate and understand the area they are traveling through. That is what the signs or these devices are meant for. That is why we call it a guide sign or guide devices. And some of these guide signs are called the direction sign. You see showing that the next exit, you see the signs on the road showing the next exit. Maybe it's out of the city or inside the city. Then we see the highway route signs. We see the exit signs. I said that. We have the miles marker showing that you've reached maybe a certain miles on the road. We have a certain miles ahead into before you get into another city or a country. We have the recreational signs. These recreational signs, it helps and guides drivers to recreational areas or landmarks, such as maybe national park, maybe beaches, tourist attractions areas, etc. So these are what the guide devices or signs for. Then we have what we call the temporary traffic control devices or signs. I say these are used during construction or special events, often with an orange background. Sometimes they can be regulatory warning or guidance signs depending on the situation. I think this is a little bit common, most especially when there is a road construction. Then we'll see some of the barricades being kept on the road, which is a form of a sign. So road users or vehicles coming in that direction to know there is a construction going on. And after when the construction is done, we'll see some of these barricades being removed. So they are temporary because it is for a short period of when something or probably an occurrence is going on the road. Maybe probably in form of an accident, or maybe the vehicle is being cleared, or maybe in form of construction like I said earlier. And some of the devices that are being used here, or the signs of what we call the barricades, we have the cones, the flashing arrow boards. So these are some of the signs when we're talking about the temporary traffic control devices. After that, we have what we call the informational device. These are more like rest area signs, hospital signs. They are informational in nature, giving us information about a particular place or a particular location and how to navigate through those areas. So we have the functions of traffic control devices. So what are the functions of some of those traffic control devices? One of the importance is safety. In my previous videos, I've already expatiated on what safety means when we're talking about transportation engineering. The core reason or the core motive is safety. If there is any system in transportation that is being designed, the major and the pivotal function or the pivotal reason is to be achieved is the safety. The safety is very important in designing any traffic control device or sign. So the most important and the primary goal of traffic control devices is to reduce accidents and fatalities. Proper placed devices help manage the traffic flows and pedestrians' movement and preventing dangerous situations. So this is one of the most important goal of traffic control devices, that is the safety, to help reduce accidents and fatalities on the road. Then another thing here is navigation. This is quite explanatory, which means it helps us to be able to locate, to know when to turn, where to go. These devices and these traffic control devices helps us in achieving that. We have regulation, when we talk about the clear compliance, clear signal, and promoting compliance with traffic laws, ensuring that road users follows the rules and contribute to overall road safety. So this is one of the functions of the traffic control device. Then we have traffic efficiency. So the devices help regulate traffic, ensuring smooth and organized vehicle flow. This is particularly important in high density areas to avoid congestions and delay. So the efficiency of that, to be able to have a smooth and organized vehicle flow, is also one of the functions of traffic control devices. Then we have the design. The design of traffic control devices. Saying here is, in designing any traffic control device, there are some key characteristics that must be in that device, whether in form of signs or signals. There are some key characteristics that we cannot take out of it. Because if I'm going to be designing a particular traffic control device or any traffic control device that we have out there, it must be visible. That is the first one, visibility. Devices must be visible under various conditions, whether it is during the day, at night, rain, fog, whatever it is, it must be visible. And that is where reflective materials are often used to improve night visibility. For some that might be very difficult to be seen at night, then reflective materials are used for that. So that is one of the important characteristics in designing a traffic control device. Another is clarity. It must be clear and simple symbols or text that ensure that information is easy to read and understand from a distance. That is, it must be legible. That is the key word. It must be legible enough where, even from a distance, road users, drivers, pedestrians, should be able to see and the simple symbols and understand the information. Find it very easy to read and understand, even from a distance. So that is where clarity and legibility comes to play. Then another thing is consistency. When we're talking about consistency here, it means the design or traffic control device that is used in city A must also be used in city B. There should be a level of consistency, not what a particular device or control device means in city A. Means it's a total different thing from the one in city B. That there has to be a level of consistency even when there is movement within towns or cities. Then road users should be able to have that understanding of knowing that yes, it is still the same here or whatever place it is. No, furthermore, we can talk about the color, we can talk about the size. These are also very key when designing traffic control devices. Then we can also look into things like the durability. It must be made from materials that can withstand the elements of wear and tear. These are kept on the road. Most of them are kept on the road. So the materials that are being used in making them must be durable to be able to stand the test of time as a result of wear and tear, maybe damages, accidents. Yeah. So these are some of the characteristics in designing a traffic control device. So we'll be looking at some of the traffic control devices one after the other. So here we're starting with a traffic sign. Traffic sign, this includes regulatory signs such as stop signs, speed limit signs, warning signs such as cop ahead, pedestrian crossing, guide signs such as route markers, destination signs, and informational signs such as service signs, recreational signs. I've already explained this earlier, and from this picture we have here, we can see some of the signs here, like this: turn left ahead, no turn left ahead. You can see marked that way: no vehicle, no motor vehicle, bend to the left, overtaking, two-way traffic, showing that there is people coming and going on that road. The road walk, this is the sign, turn right ahead. These are basic traffic signs in traffic control devices under this aspect. So these are what we call the traffic signs. And I know most of the time, as road users, we've seen, if not all, we've seen some of the signs, either in form of no cycling or maximum speed. We've seen some of the signs on the road. Then we have the significance of the traffic sign colors. All these colors have a significant meaning to them. Red, it means stop, but do not enter, or something like a wrong way, and they are said to be a regulatory device or regulatory sign. We have orange, which shows that construction or maintenance is going on at a particular point. When we see any of the traffic sign having an orange color, it means construction or maintenance is going on in that vicinity or on that road or in that location. So whenever we see any signs with an orange color, we need to know that there is a construction or maintenance ahead. Yellow. Yellow signifies general warning, advisory of unexpected roadway conditions. So that is when we see the yellow sign. The next one is the fluorescent yellow green. This has an high emphasis on warning of schools, pedestrians, and bicycle activities. That is when we see any traffic sign having this fluorescent yellow green, then we know that there is a warning of school, pedestrian, or bicycling activities around the road. Then we have the white or black. We know white or black are said to be regulatory, talking about the speed limits. There's we have the speed limits. Then we have the green color. It shows guide or directional information, telling us the number of miles ahead to a particular city or to a particular countryside. And then we see some of these traffic signs in green color. Then we have the blue. The blue, motorist service guidance. It is also used to identify parking spaces for disabled drivers. You see, from the picture we have here, we can see a sign of a disabled on a wheelchair. So this color is used to guide motorists and is also used to identify parking space. Here, in this picture, we can see that this is for guidance with blue. Turn right ahead, blue. Turn left ahead, blue. They are for guidance. They help to guide motorists. And one way ahead, then we also have the parking lots, just like we explained here, the blue color. Then we have the brown. This shows the area of public recreation, cultural or historical significance. Then if you see some of these traffic signs in brown color, then we have pink, which is really not that common, but yes, it is, which shows for incident management. Then we move into traffic signals. Now there is a difference between traffic signs and traffic signals. I have seen students over the years, or I've seen some materials over the years where people take traffic signs and traffic signals as the same, or regard them as the same, even though they are closely related, but they are not the same. There's difference between a traffic sign and a traffic signal. Traffic signals are designed to ensure an orderly flow of traffic, providing an opportunity for pedestrians or vehicles to cross an intersection and help reduce the number of conflicts between vehicles entering intersection from different directions. It is also said to be electrically operated device that use colored light to control the movement of vehicles. Now, the basic difference between a traffic sign and a traffic signal is traffic signs are static in nature. When I mean static in nature, it means they don't change. For example, when we see any of those traffic signs, they don't change over time. They are static, they are imprinted on a board, and they are kept on the road. It does not change because they are not electrically operated or electronical in nature. But when it comes to traffic signals, they are electrically operated. That means they are electronical in nature. And an example of a traffic signal is what we call the traffic light. You see, there is a point where the traffic light shows a red color, which means stop. Then it changes. So that means the major word we can use here for traffic signal is that it is dynamic in nature. Dynamic means it changes over time. So it is red, the traffic light is red at a point, then after a while, maybe a few seconds, then it changes to yellow, which means the vehicles are meant to get ready at that point to move. Then afterwards it changes to green. Then from that it changes back to red in that flow. So this is an example of a traffic signal. So I can say a traffic light is an example of traffic signal. But when we have any of these kind of signs, is an example of just a traffic sign. So this is a pictorial explanation of what I just said. These are signs that changes. This is used in a railway system, and this changes. At this point, it shows that this red means stop. Maybe whether for vehicles or whether for the trains that are coming at that point. And after a while, this changes to maybe a green color or a different color. And this also it shows the traffic light for a bicycle lane. Now, from this picture, it shows that in this area is dominated with bicycles for us to have this kind of system in place. And this shows that here, the bicycle here, the bicycle signal here shows red. It means those coming in this particular lane are meant to stop. And this point shows that even though they are at a state of halt, they should get ready to move. And at this point, they can move. This is also an example of a traffic signal. And here is also used in a road that goes through a rail. From here we can see the road, maybe vehicles or pedestrians or people moving or around this road. So at a point where there is an incoming railway on this part, then it shows this red sign which indicates that movements across this railway is prohibited because maybe there is an incoming rail train on that part. Then when this changes back to green, then that means pedestrians or people or drivers can move along this road. Now, just a quick one that says, do you know that the world's first traffic signal was installed in London in 1868, and it was a gas-lit device operated manually by a police officer to control traffic at a busy intersection. So this is said to be the oldest traffic signal and the first traffic signal that was installed, and this happened in London in 1868. And from this picture we can see what it looks like. Solar, which is different from what we have in our time now. So this is it. And at this point there is a police officer. This is usually operated by a police officer compared to what we have now that are electronically operated. But for this, there is a police officer standing changing as a result of looking at and understanding and analyzing the traffic flow of people in that region at that time. Another one. Do you know that the concept of yellow traffic light? The concept of the yellow traffic light was introduced in the 1920s, and this is to provide a warning for drivers that the signal was about to change. This helps to reduce the number of accidents and helps people aware of changes to come. So that means at the inception of having the traffic lights that we have in this previous slide, we just have a traffic sign showing when people can move and when they are not meant to move. But over time, there was a need to introduce the yellow concept, that is the concept of the yellow traffic light, in order to prepare people not to move at that point. And this is to help to reduce the number of accidents. The point is there was a lot of accident as a result of the first traffic lights that was in place, which led to the introduction of the yellow traffic lights to help reduce the number of accidents on the road. And then we can see this is from the Chicago police. You can see the police officer, what we call the traffic officer, whichever one controlling the traffic flow manually here. Even if this is done manually, it is still said to be a traffic signal. Why? Because it changes, it is dynamic in nature. It is not static, which is not a traffic sign. And this is also the standard what it looks like there. So this is the traffic points, traffic light points, and you can see the police officer there controlling the traffic. This is the 21st century kind of traffic light, the red, yellow, and the green. Then from this we go into the difference between a traffic sign and a traffic signal. I've already explained that earlier, but here is also to tell us more about the difference between the traffic sign and the traffic signal. So the difference between traffic signs and traffic signals. The first one is the purpose. As we can see here, the traffic signs provide information and instruction to road users. I've already explained that earlier, telling you where to turn, where not to turn, talking about where you can park, telling you where pedestrians are meant to go, telling us or giving us more information about recreational activities happening around. But traffic signals controls the flow of traffic at the point of intersection. Traffic signals, just like the traffic lights, they are usually at the point of intersection, helping us to manage and to control traffic. So that is the purpose. We have the visual representation. Most of the time, traffic signs are usually in form of symbols, colors, words to convey messages, and they are static. I already said that also. But traffic signals use colored lights like red, yellow, green, and this is just to indicate whether vehicles should stop, whether to yield or to proceed. So that is the difference between traffic signals and traffic signs when it comes to visual representation. We also have regulations. Traffic signs are meant to guide, they're meant to warn, they're meant to regulate or inform drivers about road conditions, hazards, inform of speed limits, inform of directions. But traffic signals regulate movement of vehicles and pedestrians at intersections to improve safety and efficiency. So it focuses more at the point of intersection when it comes to traffic signals. But traffic signs does not focus much on intersections. It can be anywhere on the road, whether at point of intersection or no point of intersection. You always see different traffic signs at every part of the road. Another difference is the location. I just said that also, like traffic signs are usually placed around roadsides, either above roadways to provide continuous guidance and information to drivers. But traffic signals are installed at the point of intersection, just to control the right of way and manage traffic flow. Interactivity. Like I said, traffic signs are static and they do not change, except the road condition changes. When we say road condition changes, for example, when we have no parking space and the parking sign is placed on the road as at that time, maybe over time there is a need for flow on that particular road where the sign is being taken off for people or for vehicles to pass or to move at that particular road. So, but other than that, it's usually static and do not change. But traffic signs, I said, they are dynamic and they change based on the present timings and in response to vehicle presence through sensors like camera sensors, CCTV, and many more. Another one is the effect on traffic. Traffic signs, it influences drivers' behavior by providing information and warning. But traffic signals directly controls the movement of vehicles by indicating when to stop, when to yield, or proceed. That is the effect it has on traffic. And then the maintenance. Maintenance of traffic signs are very affordable. They require periodic maintenance, which cannot be as expensive as that of traffic signs because they are quite cheap and easy to manage and to ensure visibility and effectiveness. In this case, let's assume we have the stop sign on the road and this stop sign has been there for years. All it takes is maybe want someone to go around the stop signs and clean up the dust on them so they can be visible and effective enough. But it's not as easy as that when it comes to traffic signals because they are high maintenance and it requires functional and proper management of some of these devices because they are electronic in nature. So we move to the third traffic control device. The first one we started with traffic sign, then we move into traffic signals. Then the third one is what we call the traffic barricades. It is also called safety or road barricades. And these are used to control the flow of traffic in a specific area. They are used at construction sites, accident scenes, at roadblocks, at school, and in a variety of other crowd control situations. And it's said that there are many different types of road barricades in varying sizes, weight, and strength. So we're going to be looking at some of these traffic barricades or road barricades. And the major reason why we have this barricade is to prevent people or vehicles from getting through, most especially when it comes to construction workers that uses these barricades for street blocks or to block traffic. So we're going to be looking at some types of the barricades we have. The first one we have is what we call the type 1 barricade. The type 1 barricade is so named because it has only one reflective rail. That is why it's called type 1. From the picture here, we can see this type of barricade. I know some of us have seen this on the road. And this type of barricade, we can see it only has one reflective rail. There is no other reflective rail here. So that is one of the ways where you can be able to identify the different types of barricades. For the type 1 barricade, like I said, this is typically at least 24 inches wide with orange and white strips alternating at a 45-degree angle. And sometimes a second non-reflective rail is added to help give a more stable base of support. But in most cases for type 1 barricade, it's usually with one reflective rail. And often type 1 barricade are used for pedestrian traffic control and are used on low speed roads. The only time you will see a type 1 barricade is on low speed roads and majorly used to control pedestrians, like pedestrians traffic control. That is what it is majorly used for the type 1 barricade. We move to the type 2 barricade. The type 2 barricade has two reflective rays from what we can see here, which is quite different from what we have in the type 1. This is what we have in the type 1, just one reflective ray. But for the type 2, it has two reflective rays, also with alternating orange and white stripes like this. We can see that. Now, because the bottom portion of the barricade is also a reflective surface, this generally offers better visibility at night than type 1 barricade. This barricade also made a requirement for the use on higher speed roads like highways, high speed roads. You can use this type 2 barricade because it gives a better visibility at night than the type 1. Like we said, type 1 is used on pedestrian traffic control, but type 2 can be used on expressways or other higher speed roads. Then we have the type 3. The type 3 barricades, we know they are larger and have 3 reflective panels with alternating orange and white stripes. They are at least 4 feet wide or larger, and they are most often used for road closing because of their size and visibility. Whenever you see this, that means there is a closage of a road ahead. That is, the road ahead is closed. That is when you see this kind of barricade, the type 3 or type 3 barricades, or probably for detours or road closures, like I said here. That is when we use this type of barricade. We have the A-frame. The A-frame barricade, they typically include a pair of A-frame barricade legs plus a two-sided reflective barricade boards. Often they are used to keep a safe distance for walkers or pedestrians on walk road sites. or for events needing crowd control. That is when we use this type of barricade. Even when it only has one reflective rail, the orange and white stripes, it is still different from the type 1 barricade. You can see the type 1 barricade even when it has one reflective rail, but the other stand has a different stand compared to a headphone barricade, just like what we could see in this picture. Then we have the traffic barrier. The traffic barriers, and most of the time is also called channelizer drums, are also used at construction sites and have alternating white and orange reflective bands. This is basically different from the first three we've been talking about, and they typically have a rubber base that helps them to remain upright during strong wind or when hit by a vehicle. That means it is quite stronger than the other ones that we have been talking about. And most handles on top for easy pick up to carry as well to provide that support. It's quite easy to carry, like it has this handle. The handle here makes it quite easy to carry, to lift from one place to the other. And as I said, they are used at construction sites and have alternating white and orange reflective bands from what you can see from this picture. Then the fourth one is the roads, the speed bumps. The speed bumps, which is also known as speed breakers, are a class of traffic calming devices that use vertical deflections to slow motor vehicle traffic in order to improve safety and control. So these are in place in order to help us slow down or to brake. We call it speed breakers. That means when a particular vehicle is moving at a particular speed, what we use in reducing the speed of the vehicle on the road is what we call the speed bumps or the speed breakers, and that is why we call it a traffic calming device. It's under the class of traffic device we call the traffic calming device, and we have different types of speed bumps based on locations in which we're going to be looking at now. The first one is a highway speed, and we know these are installed on major roads from the word from its name, highway speed bumps. They are installed on major roads, and their major goal is to control traffic flow by imposing speed limits on moving vehicles. And they can also be used on other roads and city streets where pedestrians and vehicle activities are on the high. We can use this type of speed bump, just like what we can see in this picture. We have the driveway speed bump. The driveway speed bump slows down vehicles moving on the driveway, and the driveways are way different from what we have in the highway. The driveway is different from the highway, and I think we're kind of conversant with this type of speed bump. So even no matter the speed at which a vehicle is moving on this driveway, it slows down when it gets to this point of the speed bump, before it picks up the speed again. And this is to help caution the speed and reduce vehicle speed and avoid accidents in the driveway. Most especially around these driveways, you can see from the picture, it is looking like a residential areas where you can have kids or people walking around or trying to cross the road at every given point in time. So these driveway speed bumps are placed in an interval manner on the road. When we have from here, we can see a particular speed bump here. There is another one here, and that means it is not just one being installed on the road and it's a long distance. That it has a shorter distance span between them, all to be able to keep drivers and vehicles in check of their speed. So we move to the third type of speed bump, which is called the gravel road speed bumps. The gravel road has no surface materials added, just like we can see in the picture here. Instead, they have dirt and gravel on the surface. Therefore, when a motorist, bicycle, or any other vehicle drivers goes through this road at high speed, gravels and dirt will dispel and may cause trouble to the passerby. It can also disturb people living in the neighborhood around this road. Taking calmness measures like installing gravels, road speed bump, speed limit signs, stop signs, speed signs, road signs, warning signs, and other signage can reduce this issue. So that is what the gravel road speed bump is all about. Just as we can see on this road, this is the gravel road, and we can see the speed bump around this point. Because without the speed bump installed, vehicles can speed up on this road and causing deaths for passerby who are plying the road. So this is one of the reasons why a speed bump has been installed or erected at the gravel road or on the gravel road. Same thing with the dirt road speed bump. Just like I explained earlier, this is also a picture of a dirt road, because without this speed bump being installed, it allows drivers to speed up on this road and creating deaths, for passerby around this road. Then the fifth type of speed bump is what we call the garage or the parking lot. This is quite the safety of visitors and other people present in garages is paramount, and that is the reason why we have this installed. This is where cars are meant to be parked, but there are some drivers who speed up on this road even when they are already in the parking lot or the garage. They still speed up in between these places even before they could park their cars. So which brought a need to have a speed bump in this parking lot to help slow down the speed of cars moving in this lot. Just like we have it here, it is important to impose a speed limit in high volume situations where vehicles and pedestrians are at close proximity. But just like what we can see in this picture, this is a speed bump and it is installed at some points or areas in this parking lot. Also, we can also have it at the entrance of a building, at the entrance of a parking lot, just from this picture. It helps drivers to slow down at the point of entry, either into a building or into an underground park or underground parking lot in any establishment. So it helps them to slow down before going into the parking lot. So this is just another example or a picture of what it looks like. Then we have what we call the traffic lighted bollard. This represents a short post set up to establish a protective or architectural perimeter, because in most cases when it is used as a visual indicator, a bollard is meant to guide traffic and make boundaries. That is what it's meant for. This is usually much more effective in the night, just like what we can see here, because of the lights beaming from the bollards, and that is why it's called a traffic lighted bollard, because at night it serves as a guide for vehicles moving around us along this road, just as we can see in the two pictures here. So we will continue with the second part of this video in the next part. So looking at the other control devices that we have. Stay tuned.